Debbie and Carrie are visiting the Smith-Wilson mansion.
Ever since we sold off the USS Sandy to NASA, James has been trying to think of a way to use the time travel device that was once part of it. Last month, he finally came up with a solution. He built a housing for the device, complete with solar panels and a teleporter. It is in our backyard. Good, then let's go see it.
I am eager to test this new time machine. We just have to wait for Debbie and Carrie to arrive. Welcome aboard, Debbie and Carrie. I know this is not as impressive as the USS Sandy was, but it will do for purposes of time travel.
I heard that the ship was renamed the USS Carl Sagan and is soon to be launched on a mission to visit the planet Jupiter.
That's right.
So where and when are we going to?
Well, this is only a test, so we won't go very far. I'm thinking of this town, but 180 years ago when it was founded.
This town was originally the site of a gold mine, but the gold ran out after only a couple of years, and afterwards, the townspeople focused on farming activities.
That's right. So let's proceed. Robot, Debbie, and Carrie. Stand by. Engaging. Wah! We have arrived in the year 1883. Let's go outside and look around. This is the exact location where the Smith-Wilson mansion will be built. Now, there is nothing here, not even a street.
The town center is about a mile away. Let's walk to there. There must be some construction going on there.
Robot, stay and guard the time machine. And do not let anyone in but us.
Yes, Master.
I just hope we don't attract too much attention by the way we are dressed. You can tell what the first priorities of the town's builders were. The bank is on the left and a saloon is on the right. And almost nothing else except homes for the miners and their families. The saloon is where the Tuscany Tavern will be in the 21st century. Let's go inside.
Welcome to Fred's House of Spirits. I am Fred, the owner. What would you like to drink? Nothing alcoholic, sorry. We are just passing through and we need to stock up on water. There's a pond north of here that you can get water from. The miners drink from it while they are digging for gold.
A pond, he says. There is no pond in that area in our native time. Probably because it was drained to make room for more streets and buildings as the town expanded.
I think we have seen enough. Let's leave. I've set the coordinates to return us to the exact place and time we came from. Engaging. Wah! But when they return, they find they cannot enter the mansion. Instead, who are you and what are you doing on my property? Your property? Since when? We thought this was our home. My name is James Smith Bentley. Well, Mr. James Smith Bentley, I am Ted Wilson, the owner of this mansion. Indeed, I rule this entire town as its mayor. So you should leave, now. If you dare to cross me, I'll have the police throw you in jail.
What? That's impossible. How can he possibly be alive in here? And he doesn't recognize us. So maybe this is an alternate timeline in which we never existed.
After their encounter with Ted Wilson in the year 2062, James, Debbie and Carrie returned to their time machine in a state of shock.
What the hell are we going to do, James? We need to get this time machine off Ted Wilson's property before he and the town's police come after us.
Indeed, we must get as far away from him as we can. We certainly can't allow him to get his filthy hands on the time machine. But where can we go instead?
How about my original home city of Boston? At least it will have places that are familiar to me and we will be safe from Ted Wilson as well.
Debbie, do you agree?
Yes, Boston is a good place.
Okay, the coordinates are set for the time jump. Though technically this will be a space jump. No actual time travel. What's that?
Master, a group of police officers are outside the time machine and are trying to break in.
Open up right now. You are trespassing. Come out with your hands up.
If we are going to make that jump, do it now, James, before the cops can arrest us.
Engaging now. Wah! We did it. We are just outside Boston now. Also in the year 2062.
So what is the next step?
There is one possibility. We go to the house that my grandparents lived in. When my grandmother Kelly Sims died, her home was inherited by Tara Conlon, and then Tara married my uncle Jonathan. They still live there even in our time. Maybe they will be there in this timeline too.
So Carrie, Debbie and James leave the time machine and make their way to the home that was supposed to belong to the Sims of Boston. And they find... Carrie, what brings you here today?
Uncle Jonathan, at least you recognize me, so I do exist in this timeline after all.
Carrie, what the hell are you talking about? Don't be speaking in riddles.
It's a long story. Let us in so we can explain everything.
So basically, you came from a different timeline where you defeated this Ted Wilson guy, and now you ended up here where he rules his town in Texas instead? That's right. And now we are trying to figure out how things got changed so we can change them back.
Uncle Jonathan, where is Tara? We should explain all this to her too.
Tara? Who is that?
What, you don't know her at all?
Don't you remember, Carrie? Tara Conlon came to our town because she wanted to join our town's Unitarian Universalist fellowship that was started by our mothers. She lived with you and your mothers for a while, then your grandmother Kelly took her to Boston. And then after Kelly Sims died, Tara got to know Jonathan and the two were married.
Are you serious? When Mother Kelly died, I inherited her cat shelter and I felt duty-bound to care for the cats of Boston just as she had. I dedicated my life to that because I had nothing else to live for. And now you tell me I could have found love with a woman you yourselves brought me? I have felt so alone and empty all these years.
I am so sorry, Uncle Jonathan.
Carrie, it seems you were the factor in both the downfall of Ted Wilson and your uncle meeting the love of his life. You and your being in that Texas town.
Uncle Jonathan, where have I been living these past few decades? Did I ever go to Texas?
Nope. You and your mothers left Boston when you were 13 and moved to Montana, only to return to Boston after a couple of years. Because you could never make any friends among the other kids at the school because of your atheism. You were constantly bullied, excluded and talked down to.
Oh my God. That's what actually happened to me in the Texas town. My mother warned me not to talk about religion with anyone, but the other girls in school kept inviting me to attend church with them. I finally told one girl when she invited me for the 10th or 11th time that I did not believe in God. That girl then told Ted Wilson and others about what I said. And then Ted dragged me into a closet and beat me up.
I remember that too. Our mother then began to consider leaving the town and taking Debbie and me back to Tulsa, where Debbie and I were born. But then Carrie and her mothers arrived. Carrie was the first real friend Debbie made in the town, and together they were strong enough to stand up to the bigots attacking them both for being atheists and for being LGBT once they came out as that too.
And because we fought back at the bigotry, I, Debbie, James and our mothers eventually overthrew the conservative Baptist culture that dominated the town. So now we should go back to this city, but in the year 2020, and make sure my mothers and I move to Texas, not Montana.
Maybe I can help you with that. Give me some information about the Texas town and the house you lived in there, Carrie. Then I can use my computer and a printer to make a document promoting the house and town as a great place to live. And so the document is made, and as a result, in the year 2020.
Jessica, are you and Lucy still thinking of leaving Boston?
Yes, Mother. We are exploring our options, but it is taking a while to narrow them down.
Well, I just got a piece of mail advertising a home in a small Texas town that is on the market for $30,000. And the place is well known as one of friendly, happy people in a beautiful natural environment. Come over here and see the mailing for yourself. Yes. This place does look exactly like what we want.
So we will take it? We'd better before someone else does. And before we have to send Carrie back to school to deal with Patrick and Angel again. I don't ever want to see those two again. As far as I am concerned, those two never should have been in my life. So they don't exist at all from now on, all right? That's fine with us. I promise, we will never talk about them again.
And a couple of weeks later, in Texas.
Thank you for coming with me here, Debbie. With you, I am happy no matter what we do. Now let's eat.
The 2062 version of Carrie now approaches the 2020 version.
Hello, Carrie. I came by to see how you were doing. I'm so glad to see both you and Debbie here and now.
Who are you and why are you taking an interest in us?
Look at me, Carrie. Don't you see what I am? I am your future.
Oh my God. You do look like me. But why come see me like this?
Because you and Debbie both have a great destiny ahead for you, but only if you stick together and never stop fighting for your rights and for the truth. No matter what others do to try to ruin you. Don't ever let them win, not even once. They can hurt you, try to ruin your reputation or even jail you, but as long as you have your integrity, they cannot break you. You, Debbie, and your mothers together have the potential to change so many lives for the better. You just need to believe in yourselves.
I have already pledged to support your younger self no matter what. Thank you for supporting my feelings.
And with that, the older Carrie leaves.
Alright, let's see if the timeline we came from was restored. Engaging.
Wah!
James, welcome back. How was your trip?
It was awesome, especially now that I see you here again. I love you so much, Penny. I will never take you for granted.
I don't know what I did to deserve that, but thank you. Our coming here to this town made it possible for James and Penny to become a couple too, of course. So everything and everyone is better because of us.
I have found that the path back to the timeline we came from earlier is still open. The timeline wasn't erased at all. Do you want to see into it to find out what our fates may have been had we not stayed in this town after 2021?
Yes. I want to make sure we did indeed make the right choice in undoing the timeline in which Ted Wilson rules this town.
I'd like to think that even in that other timeline, you and I would have met up eventually, Debbie. We seemed so perfect for each other, I can't imagine you and me being with anyone else.
Then let us find out. Okay, here we are in January of 2021.
So that's the situation, Rich. Once Debbie came out as an atheist, many of her classmates and teachers turned on her and began to persecute her. And I have no doubt they will torment our son James also once he gets older. I can't stand to see them suffer like this. They deserve better.
Sandy, I know I messed up by having that affair with Diana Kalli. She played me like a fiddle. But now I will do whatever I can to make things better for you and our kids. In Tulsa, I was about to buy a house and give it to my girlfriend Mary and her 5 kids. But what if I give that house to you, Debbie and James instead?
Seriously? But what about Mary and her kids?
Unlike you, Mary is not an atheist. And I only hooked up with her because I felt she needed help to escape an abusive situation she was in. But I think if you give her and her kids this house in the town, she will be safe. She won't need me. And frankly, I'd rather remarry you. I only turned to Mary because I assumed you would never forgive me over my mistakes. I was wrong to complain about our differences. Mary herself is also different from me in many ways. But you were always good to me and you didn't deserve to be cheated on, ever.
Debbie and James, what do you think? It's your call, Mother. I do think we would be better off in Tulsa again.
I don't even remember living in Tulsa, so I don't care.
So be it. I will marry you again. Let us all live together in Tulsa.
You actually aren't jealous of Mary, Sandy. I assumed you would be, given my past history with Diana Kalli.
I was suspicious of her, naturally. But then I spent over an hour talking to her over the phone. And she confirmed everything you said. About how she was forced into marriage by her fanatical parents after she got pregnant with her first child. About how her husband would practically rape her after she bore him 3 daughters because he also wanted a son. And even after she gave him a son, he kept raping her so she would give him more kids, and her parents encouraged this, saying it was God's will for them to have a large family.
Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, so the Bible says. I wish that book had never existed.
Now I am concerned about leaving Mary and her 5 kids in that town in Texas that I, Debbie and James came from. A lot of the people there are as fanatical as Mary's parents were. That's why I warned Mary to keep to herself.
Mary already cut ties with her parents after she filed for divorce from her husband and I helped her win in court. The problem was she wanted to never see him again, so she got him denied visitation rights to the 5 kids in exchange for him not paying child support. So now those poor kids are in total poverty, with only their mother supporting them. That's why I want to help her with payments, even though none of her kids are mine.
But that would mean we have less money for Debbie and James, who are your actual children. Mary's kids are not your responsibility, Rich.
Thank you for meeting me here, Rich and Sandy. Let me tell you what I have decided. I always wanted to be a mother, but not to so many children and certainly not with someone as terrible as Carl turned out to be. So I have decided to keep only my eldest daughter Kelly and give up the other 4 kids for adoption. It's the only way I can give them a better life.
Mary, I commend you for being willing to let go of those other 4 kids. You clearly love them deeply. They don't deserve to suffer because you were forced to be their mother.
Right, so we will help you with the adoption process.
Thank you, Sandy. You and Rich are the most loving people I have ever known.
Hurry up and eat breakfast, you two. We have to get you to school by 8 o'clock. Mother, James and I don't want to go to school. All the kids there are talking about the election. And some of them even want to throw a party because of Trump winning. I feel like we may be persecuted in Tulsa just like we were in that town years ago. And there may eventually be no safe place for us.
Don't be so pessimistic, Debbie. Your mother and I are lawyers, and we will fight for your rights even after Trump becomes president again. The U.S. Constitution is on our side. Not even Trump can get rid of it.
I hope you were right, Rich. But America was under the same constitution a century ago and life for us and other various minorities was much worse than today. And Trump and the Republicans want to make America like it was. For the sake of our children, and everyone else's children, we must fight the Republicans at every turn. So what do you want to do this weekend, Debbie? I don't really know, Arlene. My parents and I are still disturbed over the election of Donald Trump once more to the presidency. We are afraid he will ruin this country. So going on dates with you is the farthest thing from my mind. You worry too much, Debbie. The United States went through a civil war and a Great Depression, things way worse than anything Trump can do to us, and yet it survived to become a superpower. And if you let Trump disrupt our relationship, that's letting him win. Don't do that. You know what? You're right. We can still be happy as lovers.
Good morning, class. Open your history books to page 217 to begin today's lesson. After the American Civil War ended, the former Confederate states in the South were occupied by Union troops. In response, Confederate veterans founded several resistance groups, including the original Ku Klux Klan.
I assume things are going smoothly here?
Of course. At least I haven't had to kick anyone out for disruptive conduct. Yet.
Good. Give me a bottle of wine that I can take home. Sandy and I plan to drink our sorrows away tonight.
Are you sure about that? You two have been doing that a lot lately.
Just give me the bottle, Jack. You think maybe we are becoming alcoholics, Sandy? We can't just run away from our problems. We are lawyers, loyal to the U.S. Constitution. We must fight for our rights and the rights of everyone else. Getting drunk every night won't help anyone.
I know. I just feel like our whole society is cursed. And that we, and our children, will suffer because of our glorious president, Donald Trump. He who Christians worship even more than God himself. Now give me another drink, Rich. Arlene, I am thankful you were so loyal to me. When we first met, I was so afraid of you, but you turned out to be the sweetest girl I've ever known. Well, I had to put up a tough front after coming out because I feared homophobic bullies. But then you told me about being abused in that town in Texas you were in and realized I had it so much better than you did. Debbie, I promise you, as long as you love me, I will do whatever I can to love and protect you. With you, I am happy. Want more popcorn? No, I'm fine. This movie got a 35% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but so far it seems great. Maybe those critics are just stuffy old men who have no understanding of romantic comedies.
While Debbie has a happy relationship in Tulsa, Laura Park, who still lives in the Texas town Debbie once lived in, is not doing well at all.
I can't ever tell my parents I am a lesbian. It would break their hearts. They will accuse me of turning against God. So I will go to heaven now.
Mrs. Park, is that your daughter on the table?
Yes, it is. But why would she commit suicide? I thought she was such a good Christian. Is she damned now for this?
Only God knows such things. If she was saved, as her baptism indicates, then that's all that matters. She is with Jesus now.
Debbie, why are you crying? Clearly, you were able to find happiness with someone else in that other timeline.
I'm crying because of what happened to Laura. She didn't have to die by suicide. That was so senseless.
Debbie, your remaining in the town and then you being with me as your first love partner, gave Laura the courage to come out to her parents. That broke up her parents' marriage. But it also saved her life. Because of what Mother Lucy told me about her own troubled upbringing as a Jehovah's Witness, I figured out that Laura was just as traumatized about her sexuality as a Baptist. That's why I didn't oppose your becoming Laura's first love partner. She needed your help to learn what being a lesbian was really about. And in the end, I got you back. It was destiny. At least in our current timeline. And as for that Arlene girl your alternate self was with, she and I are clearly of the same kind of person for her to have loved you too. In another reality, I could have called her my best friend.
Let's move on. We may have a lot more to see over there.
What are you doing here, Diana? You know you are banned from this place.
Oh, don't be like that, Rich. We had something between us years ago. Don't you remember?
I remember all too well.
You seduced me into having an affair which broke up my marriage to Sandy. Then a couple of years later you cheated on me with an old man who owned an oil company. Then you married him.
Yes. It was all about climbing the social and economic ladder. I inherited my mother's fortune after she died, and then a few months later my husband also died and I inherited his fortune too. Now I am a billionaire. I never would have become that had I stayed with you. And now I wish to make you an offer. You can have a share of my fortune if you leave Sandy and hook up with me again. Together, we can be the most powerful couple in all of Tulsa.
Why don't you find someone else to impress? I won't be fooled by you again. I had to work very hard to regain Sandy's trust after what you and I did. Now get out.
I guess you really are stupid. Just like Sandy. People who claim to have integrity are either hypocrites or idiots. Why do you think people like Donald Trump are so successful? It's because they know moral standards are a scam and always have been. And when I find someone who will accept my offer and marry him instead, you will regret rejecting me. And I will someday destroy both you and Sandy.
That bitch.
Rich, maybe someone needs to turn the tables on her.
What do you mean, Jack?
If she really believes that morals are useless and fake, then maybe I could take advantage of that to offer myself to her. I can tell her I am tired of working for you and see her as more powerful than you and therefore more useful to me.
And why would you do such a thing?
Because if I don't, she may go after someone else who doesn't know her like we do, and he becomes her next victim.
Jack, if you can indeed get close to her, maybe you can learn the truth about what happened to Diana's mother. Her death was sudden and no explanation was ever given for it. And no one really cared at the time, because Jennifer Kalli was hated just as Diana is now.
You think Diana Kalli murdered her mother?
Yes. We just need to find evidence to prove that. And then we can get rid of her for good.
Wow. Diana Kalli really did think she was smarter than everyone else. But if she was so, she never would have pulled that stunt outside the Texas town that led directly to her death at my mother's hands.
That's the nature of a narcissist, Debbie. They are at the center of their own universe and see everyone else as beneath them. And they are totally delusional about almost everything to convince themselves they can get away with anything. Let's continue.
Rich, I don't think Jack hooking up with Diana Kalli is a good idea. If she did kill her mother, why wouldn't she kill him if she realizes he is tricking her?
Do you have a better idea? Leaving her to her own devices is too dangerous.
Debbie, is your brother dating anyone now? No. Why do you ask? Because my little sister just told me that she thinks James is cute. She likes him. I've seen your sister Polly. She is overweight and not nearly as smart as James. He may not like her. Can we at least bring them together and find out? Are you sure this will work, Arlene? You were the one who said you were interested in James, so we have to find out if you're compatible as soon as possible. If you are not, it's best to let him go and find someone else. There he is. Hi. Thanks for coming, James.
No problem. Your sister said you liked me, so I decided to take you on a date. Let's go.
Well, that was easy. For now. But I doubt they will be a couple for long. I mean, what do they have in common?
So what sort of movies do you enjoy most, Polly?
I'm not really picky. I'll watch what you want to watch.
All right. A science fiction thriller, then. Any questions about the movie story?
Not yet. We can talk about it later. Awesome. I loved it. And I love you. You know how to impress me.
You are actually very different from your sister. And that's okay.
So, what did you think of Polly? And be honest, I really didn't think she was your type at all.
What exactly is my type supposed to be? If I waited until someone exactly like me came along, I'd be alone for the rest of my life. At least Polly is polite and respectful. She listens to me and doesn't question my opinions. So for now, I can keep seeing her.
All right. Just don't ever do to her what our father once did to our mother. Cheating is never acceptable. You should just end a relationship that isn't ideal if you find someone who you know is better for you. And try to remain friends with Polly even if you break up for any reason.
Of course.
That doesn't seem like me at all. I mean, that Polly girl is nothing like Penny Bentley, the girl I would marry in this timeline.
You were a horny teenage boy back then. My guess is anyone with boobs and a pussy would have been acceptable to you. This overweight, black and unintelligent girl offered herself to you and so you took her. But you would have dumped her as soon as someone better came along.
You are right. And I do remember the advice our father gave me in the timeline we are from. Even the best of people can find themselves incompatible. Your mother and I had different priorities in life. I am a big sports fan, and she hates sports, for example. Eventually, I found someone else I could relate to better and started seeing her instead. When you get older, you will start dating, and you may find difficulties in your own relationships. You shouldn't expect to marry and spend the rest of your life with your first girlfriend.
So what brings you to my mansion?
As you probably know, I work as a bouncer at Rich Smith's nightclub. Before that, I was a drug dealer, seeking to make myself rich like my idol Pablo Escobar. He was so powerful that even the Colombian government was afraid of him. But I got busted in a sting operation by the Tulsa police and sent to prison. Rich was the lawyer who defended me at my trial. I served time for 4 years. Then when I was released, Rich offered me a job at a nightclub he had recently bought part ownership in, knowing I might not easily find work elsewhere. He wanted me to not deal drugs again.
So why come to me now?
I overheard you making an offer to share your wealth with Rich if he became your lover again. But he is too scared of Sandy now. I don't respect such cowardice. People who are unwilling to take advantage of opportunities to get ahead end up with nothing. I still want to be rich someday. I could be your new boyfriend, willing to do whatever dirty work you want me to do. Rich only pays me a minimal salary. I assume you can offer me much more.
Indeed, I could certainly use someone like you. But I have one condition.
Name it.
For now, you continue working at Rich's nightclub and feed me information about his and Sandy's activities. Sooner or later I want to get rid of both of them. You help me do that, I will reward you.
Hey, cutie, I got 2 tickets to a Disturbed concert this weekend. Want to come?
No, Matthew. You know I am taken. Plus I am a lesbian, so by definition I would not be interested in a guy like you. Plus, I don't like that kind of music.
You are so stuck up. I'm offering you a good time.
Only for you. Why not learn to take no for an answer? And did you approach me again after being rejected by a dozen other girls? What's wrong? You look like you are going to vomit. It was Matthew Leonardo again. Every time some metal band comes to Tulsa, he tries to get a girl to come with him to a concert. That damned incel. I remember Ophelia telling me about how she went with him, and when they went to his car after the concert, he tried to take her to a park late at night. She refused to have sex with him and threatened to tell her father about him. Her father, being a police officer, scared him. My father is a lawyer and a nightclub owner. Not as intimidating, but he wouldn't tolerate Matthew repeatedly coming on to me, that's for sure. Speak of the devil. Maybe the 3 of us can form a new club at the school, Enemies of Matthew Leonardo. It would be huge.
Yes, she actually accepted my offer. She even suggested I continue working for you so I could spy on you and Sandy and then report your activities to her.
Interesting. And of course, you can do the same in reverse. I will tell you what to say about us so she can be misled, of course. But you won't be working for me much longer.
Why not? You are not shutting down this club, are you?
No, but I will be selling it. My longtime rival, Steve Miller, has agreed to buy out this place from me. Once he gets ownership of both of the biggest nightclubs in Tulsa, I will be free to do other things. Ah, there he is now.
So my offer of $1,200,000 is acceptable?
Yes. Sandy and I can use that money to fund our law firm, focusing on legal actions defending the rights of undocumented immigrants.
And why would you defend such people? Isn't their presence here illegal?
The idea that people just coming here to live peacefully and work productive jobs is somehow illegal is racist. The fact remains that undocumented immigrants work the sort of jobs that slaves used to do in the southern states before the Civil War abolished slavery. We pay them so little because they have no legal protection and treat them like shit, but it is still better for them here than in the countries they came from with the extreme poverty and violence there. And a lot of that violence is America's fault. We wage drug wars and support dictators who are friendly to the US and its interests. And helpless people die as a result. So sending those migrants back to those countries is a de facto death sentence. The issue for right-wing bigots is not just the migrants being here, it's that if they stay too long, they might have children here who would be American citizens. If those kids were not automatically citizens at birth, they could be kept in poverty just like their parents once they grow up and join the workforce.
Making the abolition of slavery pointless. I get that now. So I will agree to buy this place. Let me sign the contract now. And here is the check for $1.2 million.
Thank you! You may start with this place tomorrow. Great doing business with you. So what made you interested in me? Debbie said she didn't think you were my type.
I just think you are the cutest boy in my class. I know others dismiss you as just a nerd, but I can relate to that because I am also something of an outcast. Other girls say I am fat and ugly. They don't want me around.
Well, you shouldn't care what those shallow people think. Beauty is overrated. Character is more important.
I find that ironic considering how gorgeous your sister is.
If you compare yourself to other people, you will never be happy. The only question in your mind should be, what will make my boyfriend James happy?
And the answer to that would be
having your soft, warm, and yes, beautiful body next to mine. If you can take a hint.
Maybe in a few months, James. I'm still a virgin and we are both only 13. Let's see how things go with more dates before we take that huge step. I know Arlene and Debbie are sexually active. I've heard them moaning in my sister's bedroom. But I'm not that eager to rush into something that could change my life forever, if you know what I mean.
I understand. And we need speak of it no more. You are my girlfriend and that is enough.
So that's what happened, Diana. Rich is actually deep in debt and was forced to sell his nightclub to his rival, Steve Miller, to get out of that debt.
More proof of his stupidity, obviously. If he had accepted my offer, he could have gotten out of debt and kept his club. What a humiliating blow for him. But if he is no longer your boss, I can't expect you to keep an eye on him for me. So I will have to cut you loose.
Maybe you could try seducing Steve Miller. He is single, after all. And he is rich like you are, so he might be a good match.
It's worth a try, at least.
Also, there have been rumors going around about your mother. Seems she died suddenly and without explanation. What happened to her? Suicide, perhaps?
No, of course not. She was no pathetic weakling. But she did have a heart condition she was born with. She told me about it a few months before she died.
Do you miss her? My mother died of cancer, and I miss her terribly.
Not really. Allowing yourself to be too attached to anyone else is a mistake, one that can ruin you. Best to be prepared at any time to cut someone off if they become a problem for you.
If you say so.
Who invited you to sit next to me?
It's a public classroom, so I should be able to sit wherever I want.
My girlfriend would disagree, so move before she gets here. What is going on here? Matthew, move out of my seat.
Make me, you dyke.
Hey, stop that nonsense. You are clearly trying to cause trouble. I will make you move. Now.
That's not fair. Just because Debbie is cute, she thinks she can get away with shit.
Mr. Miller, what do you know about Diana Kalli?
That backstabbing bitch? I knew her in high school, and she was despised by so many even then. Why? It is natural that since she has no loyalty to anyone else, she would expect others to be like her, or else she despises them.
She is still a serious threat. But if you pretended to be interested in her, she might be deceived and then we might find out the truth about what happened to her mother. Rich thinks Diana murdered Jennifer Kalli.
But Diana and I have never gotten along. I doubt she would want me.
Actually, I suggest that she might find you a love match. Since you and she are both rich, together you would be the most powerful couple in Tulsa. I think she craves that power enough to hook up even with someone she considered a rival.
It's risky as hell. If she killed her own mother, she might also kill me.
At least you would know of her treacherous nature. It would be worse if she went after some innocent guy who falls in love in her.
Are you satisfied with me now? You know you can always tell me if something goes wrong between us. Have I given you any reason to think I am unhappy? Trust me, I have no complaints. You are the best thing in my life.
Mother Jessica, I can't stand it anymore. The other kids keep picking fights with me because we are atheists and you are lesbians. We never should have come here.
I am so sorry, Carrie. We clearly made a serious mistake.
And even worse is that there is a chapter of the Ku Klux Klan here and they despise us for being an interracial couple. I thought those groups only existed in the South, which is why I was reluctant for us to move to a southern state like Texas or Virginia. Let's move back to Boston ASAP. Since your mother has died and your brother is now running her cat shelter, maybe we can help him with it too.
So be it. I will call Jonathan and ask him to let us move into his and our mother's house. Thank you for inviting me here, Steve. I was quite surprised at this, since Rich banned me from this club after I broke up with him to marry someone else.
That loser. He doesn't have balls to truly make something of himself. I now own more property than he ever did, including this very club he owned. I have beaten him.
You weren't always so successful. I remember in high school you were poor. That's why I looked down on you. We Kallis have always been rich and powerful women, even when my great-grandmother immigrated here from Sweden.
Interesting. So the Kalli family name was passed down from mother to daughter? That's unusual.
The family name Kalli originally meant in Swedish Kelly's daughter or Kallis daughter. Then it got shortened to just Kalli. My great-grandmother decided to always pass down the Kalli name to her eldest daughter, and that tradition has been kept by my grandmother, my mother, and me. And of course, I hope to have a daughter to also continue the Kalli bloodline.
Well, you hook up with me, I might give you that daughter. Anyway, the fact that I rose from poverty to be a multi-millionaire. surely makes me a greater man than someone who either is always poor or was always rich. I know how to fight for what I want, and what I want now is you. Rich was a fool to let you go. I got his club, so next I could have you. Then my beating of him will be complete.
Wow, I am impressed by how ruthless you have become. Clearly I underestimated you. Keep talking, Steve. I do like this new version of you. Maybe you are my type after all.
So, Debbie Smith and her family are here. I knew her when she was living in my town in Texas. Yeah, Ted Wilson. I'm glad I met you via Facebook. Learning from you about what she was like years ago makes me despise her now. Not only is she atheist, she has also come out as a lesbian. Then together we can teach that bitch a lesson. People like her have always disgusted me. Thinking they can flaunt their attitudes in public and piss off respectable people like me. I won't allow it. We will make an example of Debbie. The sooner we break her spirit and make her afraid to be open about her atheism and lesbianism, the better we proper boys will feel, right? Exactly. Friend. Let's get her. And her girlfriend Arlene too. I think it will be enough to break Debbie. She is an empath and I would assume her girlfriend is too. So both of them would be ruined even if we don't take down Arlene too. We just have to figure out how to make Debbie suffer enough to make her scared of us for the rest of her life.
This makes me so sick. Ted Wilson wasn't content to drive me and my family out of his town in Texas. He pursued me even to Tulsa.
Bigotry anywhere can lead to bigotry spreading to everywhere. That's why you were wrong to just run away. In this timeline, we stayed put and fought together to defeat the bigots. And we won. We made everything better in that town. Together.
So, do you want to see more, Debbie and Carrie? Or do you want to stop here?
If it actually happens to me in the other timeline, I want to see everything. No matter how ugly it is. Keep going.
And if what you see traumatizes you, Debbie, I will be here to comfort you.
So are you ready to see another movie with me? There is this romantic comedy that features a gay couple. Representation. We should certainly see that. If enough people care enough to watch it, it may encourage movie studios to make more movies with LGBT themes. Exactly. Let's go see it right after school today.
What a perfect opportunity to humiliate those shameless bitches. Ted, I just learned that Debbie Smith and her girlfriend are going to a movie together after school. Do you know exactly where they will go? There is a movie theater a couple of blocks away from the school, so I assume they will go there. But I can follow them after school to be sure. Alright. I will leave school in my town and head to Tulsa to meet with you. The time to punish those dykes is coming.
And several hours later. Trigger warning, extreme violence. Thank you for taking me to see that movie, Arlene. It was actually beautiful. Yeah, it wasn't a load of crap like I feared it might be. The producers really cared about the subject matter to depict the gay lovers in a dignified way. Suddenly, the two girls are attacked from behind. Arlene is knocked unconscious immediately, while Debbie is dragged away. Ted Wilson. What are you doing?
I tried beating your atheism out of you in that Texas town you used to live in. Now I find out you are lesbian too. Well, I and my partner have already busted your lover's head. Now I am going to bust your ass. Or do you want the honors, Matthew? No, I am content to just watch. Break her down just like you said you would do. She had it coming. Whatever it takes, bitch, I will force you to submit.
Please. Stop. I'm begging you.
You really want me to stop? Then take off your pants. Now.
Wow. Of course, we knew Ted Wilson was a terrible person. He did so many evil things in our own timeline. But for him to actually beat savagely and then rape you, that monster.
Should we stop here, or continue?
We've come this far. We might as well see what happens to me and Ted Wilson later. Move on. Debbie, I am so sorry that I couldn't protect you like I promised I would. Arlene, this is truly the worst experience I've ever had in my life. I just don't understand how Ted Wilson could be so cruel. I knew he hated me already, but still. He is clearly not a normal personality. Debbie, the doctors told me everything. So, do you know who did this horrible thing to you? It was Ted Wilson. He actually came after me. You remember when he beat me up at school one day in that town? The town authorities did nothing to him about that. So now he does this. We came back to Tulsa to avoid this. Now I don't feel safe anywhere. Debbie, I promise you, I will do what I can to make that sick bastard pay.
Trigger warning, extreme violence.
After a few days, Debbie and Arlene are released from the hospital and return to their homes.
Debbie, I know your mother promised to fight for us, but do you really think she can do much in this hostile political climate? State governments have been passing lots of laws against LGBT people, and with Trump being president now, we can't rely on federal courts to protect our rights. Rape is still a serious crime, so why not go after Matthew and Ted Wilson for what they did? Yeah.
The next morning, Arlene goes to her parents' bedroom and steals the pistol hidden in there, slipping it into her backpack. Then she arrives at school.
Where is he? Yes. There he is. Time for revenge.
What?
So Arlene pulls out the gun she had and as Matthew falls to the ground, other students run away, terrified. But Arlene shoots no one else. She instead puts the gun down next to Matthew's dying body and waits nearby.
Young lady, are you the one who shot that boy?
Yes, officer. I did it to avenge his assaulting me and also helping to assault and rape my girlfriend.
And we were about to arrest him for those crimes. But instead we now must arrest you for murder.
Do what you must.
Shocked at what just happened at school, Debbie tells her parents about it when she gets home.
Debbie, your girlfriend was wrong to take the law into her own hands. And murder is an even worse crime than assault and rape. Mother, she killed Matthew to avenge me as well as herself. You are a defense attorney, so why not defend her? Sure, I'll go at once. Unless you would rather do it, Rich.
You go, Sandy. I'll stay here and keep Debbie safe. Debbie, I have to admit, as your father, I wanted to kill both Matthew Leonardo and Ted Wilson too, but that would only have made me a hypocrite. As a lawyer, I must believe in the principle of law and order. Without that, efforts to fight crime and avenge the victims of crime are pointless.
To make a long story short, Arlene was soon convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 30 years in prison. Meanwhile, Ted Wilson had returned to his Texas town, and the state of Texas refused to extradite him back to Tulsa to stand trial for rape there, so instead he went to trial in Texas. And as a result...
Welcome back, Sandy. How was your visit to Texas? That bad. So what happened?
It seems the good old boy system is as intact as ever over there. Ted Wilson pled guilty to sexual assault and got no prison time. Instead, he was given a fine of $10,000, which his rich father promptly paid for, so it was like Ted wasn't punished at all.
Well, at least Ted has a criminal record, A felony, no less. And that will follow him for the rest of his life.
Well, apparently it didn't, because as we saw, Ted Wilson eventually was elected mayor of his town. He was indeed not punished for what he did.
And he didn't even remember me, did he? Even after raping me, I was nothing to him.
Or he pretended not to know you to abuse you further. Let's move on.
Debbie, what's wrong? Why did you ask to speak with me privately? Mother, I didn't have a period this month, so I went and bought a pregnancy test and used it just now. Here are the results. So now you are actually pregnant with Ted Wilson's spawn? No. No. Mother, what are we going to do? I know abortion is banned here in Oklahoma. I will be forced to give birth to that rapist's baby just as he forced me to have sex with him. It's like I am being raped twice and over a 9-month period. Debbie, let me figure something out. Ah, here it is, that website I was told about several months ago. Watch this, Rich. Hello. I am Dr. Naomi Lee in Los Angeles. I specialize in women's medical issues, including delivering babies, performing hysterectomies, and helping women get pregnant. But with so many states banning abortion, and it still being legal in California, I have decided to set up a clinic to perform abortions. And I will offer half-price abortions to girls and women who travel to here from states where it is illegal. I mean, you are already paying for a trip from another state. Why not give you a discount?
Yes, that is exactly what we need, Sandy.
I will take Debbie with me to Los Angeles next week. Wish us luck.
Polly, I'm sorry, but I have thought it over and I decided Debbie is right. I only hooked up with you because you offered yourself to me, but we really have almost nothing in common. I am a deep thinker and I need someone who is one also, and is also an activist for the environment. I just don't feel challenged by you at all. You are a nice girl, but that will never be enough. So this is a breakup date. It is because I do respect you as a person that I feel I should end things between us this way, instead of just abruptly dumping you via rude text or whatever.
I understand. At least I gave it my best shot, James. You certainly deserve to be with someone who will love you with all her heart, even if it is not me. Thank you for your time and your respect. Sandy and Debbie make an appointment at Dr. Lee's abortion clinic, then they proceed on a trip to Los Angeles. Debbie, I am doing this to save your life. You have suffered enough trauma, with what Ted Wilson did to you and then your girlfriend going to prison. This will give you the chance to continue living like a normal teenager. Thank you, Mother. The next day, at Los Angeles, Debbie and Sandy arrive at the clinic.
Welcome. Please identify yourself.
I am Sandy Smith and my daughter is Debbie Smith. She is scheduled for a first trimester abortion today. Here is my ID.
Yes. You and she are on the list. Your identity is confirmed. Let me unlock the door so you two may enter.
Dr. Lee, how long will this procedure take? Since you're less than 2 months pregnant, it will take less than 15 minutes. I will simply cause your uterus to do what it would normally do during a miscarriage, by injecting a heavy dose of the hormone that triggers labor in women who are full term. Once the embryo is expelled, I will do a D&C to make sure there is no remaining tissue to make you continue to bleed, then you may leave. It is done. You may continue to bleed slightly for a day or two, then you will be back to normal. I will insert a tampon to absorb the leakage of blood. Thank you, doctor. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. Now I can move on with my life. Later, Sandy and Debbie leave the clinic together. But as they do,
Murderer. You dare to throw away your precious unborn baby.
Sinners like you will be judged by the Almighty.
Sandy is furious, and so she goes into full-blown mama bear mode. Take your worthless, bigoted values and shove them up your fat ass. Sandy continues to beat mercilessly the protester until he is a battered heap on the ground. Thank you, Mother. But I had no idea you were that strong and ruthless. When a mother is fighting to protect her child, there is nothing she won't do.
Back in Tulsa, Steve is at the home of Diana Kalli. They are now officially a couple.
So how soon can we be married, Steve?
I guess when you are ready, dear Diana. Just let me know.
We can simply draw up the court documents and get them approved by a judge. No need for a fancy wedding ceremony.
That's fine with me. And now, if you will excuse me, I need to use the bathroom.
Sure. It's down the hall and to your right.
Oh my god. That is strychnine, a deadly poison. But why would she have it here when there are better pesticides she could be using? I'd better tell someone what I found. Rich, I have found strychnine in Diana Kalli's bathroom. A lot of it. It's possible you were right about her killing her mother. By poisoning her. She could also have poisoned her first husband.
Meet up with me as soon as you can, then we will tell the police our suspicions. Mr. Miller, to be honest, we really didn't give a damn about the possibility of Diana Kalli killing her mother or her husband, because they were both despised around this city.
She clearly killed them to get their estates, and thus to make herself more powerful. You should care about that. What if she tries to kill me, or someone else to get even more money and assets?
Even a total bitch like Jennifer Kalli shouldn't have been murdered. Diana should be punished for that, since she was Jennifer's own daughter. Nothing is worse than killing your own parent. Or your own child, obviously. You are right, of course. So now, we will get a search warrant for the strychnine in Diana Kalli's mansion, and then additional warrants to exhume the bodies of her mother and husband to confirm your suspicions. And to make a long story short, evidence of strychnine poisoning was indeed found in the exhumed bodies. And so Diana Kalli was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
How dare you betray me like this? I could have shared my wealth with you and together we could rule this whole city.
Go fuck yourself in hell, Diana. You have no business talking about betrayal after what you have done. And I never wanted your wealth. I just wanted to get at the truth and then see justice done. Goodbye!
Sandy, let me say how thankful I am that you decided to forgive me and take me back years ago. You really are the greatest woman I have ever known, and I will admire and support you forever. I promise.
Rich, I forgave you because I did recognize that my refusal to compromise with you about certain issues made you likely to cheat. Respecting your partner is about tolerating differences that come naturally to them. We have both learned to be better people.
Wow!
That does seem like a happy ending, doesn't it?
Right, until you consider that Laura Park died by suicide. The town in Texas continued to be ruled by bigoted fanatics, including the rapist Ted Wilson, and I lost my girlfriend Arlene when she was sent to prison. And I never met Carrie.
Well, at least your father in the other timeline wasn't killed in a mass shooting. And Diana Kalli was made to face justice properly instead of your mother being forced to kill her in a messy fight. It seems that both those timelines have blessings and curses.
You are right, Carrie. And that other timeline is just as real and just as important as the one we are indigenous to. And there may indeed be other timelines in which additional versions of us may exist.
Like the one you supposedly erased when you saved Charles Mackenzie and Michael Jefferson from being murdered in 2029. What if that timeline in which they died that year still exists too?
Oh, it definitely does, James. Debbie and I actually still have memories of both those timelines from the year 2029 to the year 2061 in our minds. And that's confusing as hell sometimes.
In any case, we must always make the most of our situation and do whatever good we can for our society, no matter what. We will never let regressive bigots break our spirit, period. Carrie, let us head back to Dallas now. Everything I have seen here has made me all the more determined to make things right for all the people we can in the future.
Yes, Debbie. I am totally with you on that.
The end. Special thanks to Helena, the community manager of Plotagon, for her support and encouragement as I worked on this project and the ones that came before it, of course.